Now, in order to set the stage for the next couple of lectures, let's start by learning a bit about the node architecture. So let's represent that architecture here in terms of node's dependencies, which are just a couple of libraries that node depends on in order to work properly. So the node runtime has several dependencies, and the most important ones are the V8 JavaScript engine and Libuv. Now, we said before that Node is a JavaScript runtime based on Google's V8 engine, right? And so that's why it appears here as a dependency. If it wasn't for V8, Node would have absolutely no way of understanding the JavaScript code that we write. And therefore, V8 is a fundamental part in the Node architecture. So again, the V8 engine is what converts JavaScript code into machine code that a computer can actually understand. Okay, but that alone is not enough to create a whole server-side framework like Node. And so that is why we also have Libuv in Node. And Libuv is an open source library with a strong focus on asynchronous I/O, so input-output. This layer is what gives Node access to the underlying computer operating system, file system, networking, and more. Besides that, Libuv also implements two extremely important features of Node.js, which are the event loop and also the thread pool. And in simple terms, the event loop is responsible for handling easy tasks like executing callbacks and network I/O, while the thread pool is for more heavy work like file access or compression or something like that. But you'll learn all about that, so about the event loop and the thread pool, in the next couple of videos. One important thing to note here is that Libuv is actually completely written in C++ and not in JavaScript. And V8 itself also uses C++ code besides JavaScript. So therefore, Node itself is a program written in C++ and JavaScript, and not just in JavaScript as you might expect, right? Now the beauty of this is that Node.js ties all these libraries together, no matter if written in C++ or JavaScript, and then gives us developers access to their functions in pure JavaScript. So it really provides us with a very nice layer of abstraction in order to make our lives a lot easier, instead of us like having to mess with C++ code. That would be a terrible experience, right? So again, this architecture allows us to write 100% pure JavaScript code running in Node.js and still access functions like for file reading, which behind the scenes are actually implemented in Libuv or other libraries in the C++ language. And speaking of other libraries, Node does actually not only rely on V8 and Libuv, but also on HTTP parser for parsing HTTP, CARES or something like that for some DNS request stuff, OpenSSL for cryptography, and also zlib for compression. And these are not that important to understand, alright? So in the end, when we have all these pieces nicely fit together, we end up with Node.js ready to be used on the server side of our applications. And next up, you will learn more about threads in Node and the thread pool, so stay tuned for that one.